Hello, nerds and nerdettes. Welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new review for you guys on the recently released Jurassic League hardcover. A little bit of a wacky one this time around, but those books need some exposure, some conversation as well, so I figured why not. Before we get into any of the details about the book, I do want to remind you guys that if you are looking for this book or any of the other books that I've featured on my channel, to use the channel sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. Use the discount code STAYNERDY for $2 off your order and also to help support the channel. Not sure why that was so difficult for me to say this time around. But without further ado, let's jump into the details. We do have a cover price of $24.99 and a page count of 152 pages. A fairly light page count and a cover price that I don't feel necessarily reflects that page count. I feel like it's still a little steep for the quality and level of story that we are getting in this book, but that seems to be kind of the standard prices 9 times out of 10 for hardcovers from DC. But without further ado, we can jump into the overhead shots, talk a little bit about the odd story at hand here, as well as look at the beautiful art. And here we are, the Jurassic League hardcover by DC, a hardcover collecting the 6 issues of a very recent series that was coming out in single issues very recently. Taking a quick look at now the spine of the book. Fairly simplistic, clean, I enjoy it. And then on the back, we have a little synopsis about kind of the story that is within. But let's get under this dust jacket and take a look at the board. And here we are under the dust jacket. We do have a wraparound cover, but before we get to that, we're going to take a quick look at the inner flaps. We just have some art of Dinosaur and the dinosaur equivalent of Aquaman, which is escaping my mind at this time. We do have a wraparound cover, which we can take a quick look at, which is absolutely beautiful. You can kind of tell who the villain of the story is going to end up being if you know your DC trivia or the way certain DC characters look. But let's take a look at the binding of the book. Quick look at the binding. It does look to be sewn binding. I can see a ribbon there holding the pages down, but it is a flat spine, so it could be glued and they just are putting a just for show ribbon there. But from what I can see, it does look like sewn binding. All right, now let's get right into the hardcover. We do have some black end pages, very thick paper stock there, and then a title page with that beautiful Juan Gedeon art that you're going to be seeing through majority of this book. Most of the art is going to be by Juan Gedeon. Well, here's the credits here. So you do have the writers who's Juan Gedeon, Daniel Warren Johnson. As far as artists, mostly Juan Gedeon, colorist Mike Spicer, and then letterer Ferran Delgado. As far as the cover artists go, you do have Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spencer on that. But a very beautiful title page with the creators, very popping as far as the colors go. And then we get a little bit more credits, but we do get immediately into issue 1, which is the same cover as the dust jacket, but it is a virgin cover with no trade dress, no title, no nothing. And then you get right into the issue. Backside of each cover is a variant, which is a very good touch as well. Now, as far as the story goes, you are going to have a very similar story that you would come to expect pertaining to the characters at hand, because they are very much dinosaur versions of the DC characters that we know and love. So Dinosaur, for example, same kind of origin as Batman. Few differences, but not many. Same with Supersor, the Superman equivalent, and the Wonder Woman equivalent, and so on. We do have some morbid scenes here in the beginning, which is probably the only aspect of this book that I would probably say is a little mature. The rest of the book does very much feel for a younger audience, other than the inclusion of some blood during some fight scenes. But overall, I think a older or younger teen could probably get away with reading this. It feels very much like a Saturday morning cartoon, very silly concept and very silly storytelling that you're going to be getting. But these super dinosaurs are the heroes of this prehistoric world that protect the humans. So they are dinosaurs still protecting humans. Humans do still make an appearance throughout the story, but mainly as the ones that are being protected. As far as the art throughout, it is absolutely beautiful. That is 100% the highlight of this entire book. The story, as one would expect, is very simplistic. You are not looking at any groundbreaking, highbrow storytelling here. It's good versus evil, but both good and evil are dinosaurs, and that's pretty much it. That's as in-depth as the storytelling you get here. The highlight is definitely the story, the action, and the just overall lax feeling to the entire book. There's not really a point where you really have to think too deeply pertaining to the characters or the story that's being told, which can be a nice change of pace when reading comics, especially if, like me, you are very much into some of the highbrow, thought-provoking stuff. This is a very nice change of pace when reading. And it's also just a blast overall. We're kind of getting to the end portion of the book already. It is not a thick book. It is not a long story by any means. So prepare yourself for a quick read, very dialogue light, which is also very nice. But we get some pretty cool concepts and scenes here, as well as just an overall change of concept as far as the story and the characters, really putting that dinosaur spin on every aspect of this world, pretty much. The few gripes that I would have is obviously because of the simplicity of the story, it was very predictable as one would expect. And also, one of my little gripes is I can make out what dinosaur most of these characters are, but Superman is really the only character that or Superstore, I'm sorry, is really the only character that I am not too sure what dinosaur he is exactly. So I maybe wanted his character design to be a little bit more exaggerated, if you will, but it is what it is. That's pretty much nitpicking because there's not a whole lot of depth to the story for me really to nitpick at and really go after or critique, if you will. But overall, it is a super fun story, such a blast. The story moves at neck-breaking speed with non-stop action, and I cannot recommend it enough, especially if you need a little break in between your omnibuses. You do get a lot of variants in the back, which is a nice touch, as well as some character designs, which is absolutely awesome. Obviously, you have the Bizarro Superstore, you have the Superstore himself. Maybe he's a long neck, I'm not too sure. And then you also have even full-on character breakdowns, like here, even down to the feet, to the shield that the Wonder Woman dinosaur character uses. Just really good, thought-out stuff, even for such a simple story, and it was such a blast, even for these extras. But that does wrap up the book. As I said, it was a very light one, a fairly quick read, but I do recommend it, but we can head back to the table. Hello, and welcome back. So, I am a fan of this book, believe it or not. I know I say often on the channel that I love titles that are very thought-provoking or maybe put into question your own opinions or your own thought processes towards situations and problems. And that is definitely not what this book is. But I also do very much enjoy a nice break from kind of the thought-provoking stuff here and there. And this is exactly what this book is. It is a very much one-dimensional, straightforward story, good guys versus bad guys, but also sprinkle in the fact that all of the characters in this book, or most of them, are dinosaurs. All of the characters that we know and love, such as Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and their rogues gallery, are all transformed into dinosaur equivalents of those characters. You have Batsaur, Supersaur, Green Torch, Flash Raptor, And really all of the names in the book are whatever that character's name is, attach the dinosaur that they are at the end as well. Um, a lot of fun though. I feel like it's fairly straightforward in its storytelling. There is a, I guess, slight inclusion of a character that maybe one wouldn't expect when jumping into this book initially, and it was a lot of fun to kind of see that play with, or the play that the creators had with that character as well. Anything with Daniel Warren Johnson, 9 times out of 10, I'm very much going to enjoy, especially art-wise, but you do have a lot of art in here by Juan Gideon, so it's not a strictly Daniel Warren Johnson book, but you do have the beautiful colors by Mike Spencer, which are typically on Daniel Warren Johnson art, but in this instance it's not, but it still very much allows the art to pop, makes everything extremely vibrant. This is extremely new reader friendly. You don't need to know anything because everything gets explained in this short story somehow. And I also feel like it is fairly young reader friendly as well. There is a scene in the very beginning of the book that is fairly dark and a little bit morbid, but the rest of the book, other than the inclusion of blood, I think it performs fairly well for a younger audience. But obviously, if you are raising your kids, your mileage may vary based on what you feel is appropriate and not appropriate for a child. But I feel like this is fairly young reader friendly. It very much has a vibe of a Saturday morning cartoon, such as Ninja Turtles or anything along those lines. You're going to have a lot of just wacky, zany, and just ridiculous scenes that take place in here. The characters themselves very much do resemble the characters they're meant to be resembling, so I wouldn't see or expect too much difference there. But you obviously have dinosaur equivalents of DC superheroes protecting humans in this world, so I would pretty much come to expect that most of these characters are going to resemble those characteristics of those DC heroes, which they do. But overall, I did have a blast with this title. I didn't jump into it having super high expectations because I knew how silly the title was jumping in, especially with a name like Jurassic League and a cover like that. But all in all, I am going to give it a 6 out of 10. I think for the right audience, this could be such an amazing book. As I've said before, I do enjoy more thought-provoking titles, but I still had a lot of fun. It was a nice break from the thought-provoking titles, and I still had a blast reading it. And if you like things like Ninja Turtles or Saturday morning cartoons, definitely check out this title because it has that vibe. And that does wrap up today's review. It was a little bit of a short one, a little bit change of pace as far as book goes. I know a lot of you guys come here for the omnibuses and the more serious titles, but with a name like Daniel Warren Johnson, who's probably in my top 5 creators right now, I had to give it some love and attention. Comment down below, let me know if you guys are a fan of this title. I know it performed fairly well in the singles issues game. A lot of people were reading it then, so whether you read the 6 issues that came out during that time span or you picked up the hardcover, let me know down below if you enjoyed it or if maybe it let you down. I would love to hear from you guys and your thoughts and opinions on every title that I really talk about. But other than that, feel free to hit that subscribe button to join the Illuminati. Also, if you do me a favor and hit that thumbs up icon, and if you did enjoy today's video, hit that bell icon, that way you can get notified. But other than that, thank you so much for watching once again. I truly appreciate you guys tuning in, and thank you for all the love and support. And of course, as always, stay nerdy.